All right, welcome back to Top 25 Voter Pod with my friends John Werner and Chad Conine. First of all, guys, welcome back to Texas. As we film this podcast, y'all got back yesterday, Monday.
Yeah, it was kind of like the worst Beatles song.
Okay, what song is that?
The Long and Winding Road.
Oh, no, Chad, there's worse than that. You ever heard The Inner Light? How about Revolution number 9?
Yeah.
Number 9?
Well, Revolution number 9 is kind of avant-garde, though.
It's bad avant-garde.
Yeah, it's terrible. I do remember that one. That one's brutal.
Yeah.
All right. Well, did y'all enjoy KC? You survived the snow. You had some barbecue.
Yep. Stroud's, Joe's, one Baylor men's basketball game. After that, I was just like Chad's lackey.
I discovered the Caesar salad at the fancy Lowe's Hotel in downtown Kansas City. It's pretty dang good.
Okay.
I had 3 of them in 4 days.
That's a lot of salad, especially in a place like KC.
It is. I went skiing beforehand, as you guys know, and I came home 3 pounds lighter than when I left.
That's incredible. That? I may have to revoke your sports writer card.
Yeah, you can't be a health nut and a sports writer.
All right, so Baylor women get a 2 seed. The Baylor men get a 1 seed. Let's talk about the ladies first.
Ladies first.
Chad, they're the 2 in that region in Wichita with Louisville as the 1. What are Nicki Collen's team's chances of getting through that region and getting to the Final Four?
It's going to be pretty tough. I don't have, I haven't dug in on Ole Miss and South Dakota yet, but once you get to the Sweet 16 round, if they make it that far, which I am guessing they probably will, you're more than likely going to see Michigan in the Sweet 16, which is who you played in the Sweet 16 last year. And it just feels like the more you play a team in the same round, the worse your luck gets playing them in that round. And Michigan's already beat Baylor once this year. They've got the kind of player in Naz Hillman that can give Baylor headaches, or more headaches than they usually have in the post. On the other hand, Baylor's been playing a lot better over the last 2 months, particularly over the last month than Michigan has. Then you've got Louisville and Tennessee in the top half of the bracket. So, man, we can have a lot of fun in Wichita. But to me, the idea of me driving up to Wichita and then just keeping on going to Minneapolis seems a little bit like a slim chance at this point. Although, you never can count out Baylor when they got the, 2 top 10 draft picks on their team and pretty good collection of guards too.
Yeah, I thought it was telling that Nicki Collen said after that Texas loss in the Big 12 final that she felt like they were playing as well as anyone in the country and that they certainly were worthy of a 1 seed. Obviously, that's her chance to stump there for her team. But nevertheless, I think they are playing pretty well. Obviously, maybe Texas exposed some things and well,
Texas got to benefit from trial and error,
because of the third time situation.
Yeah. And that's what I'm going to write. I'm writing a column for tomorrow and everybody knows how good their team can be and how bad their team can be at this point, but not everybody gets to play a couple of times and figure out, like I think Mark Adams said, it's not a series, anything can happen in one game because you try different things and you find out whether or not it works, but trying to do that within 40 minutes and have it come out right. That's a kind of a crapshoot. And that's why we call it March Madness and not March Chalk.
Oh, well played. Well played. If they do get there to Wichita, which they should get through the first 2 rounds, I would think, we're going to call you the Wichita lineman. How about that? You like that, Johnny?
That's a good one, Bryce.
So John, how about the men? Obviously, they did get the 1 seed. I almost felt like it was going to be reversed, that the women would get the well, let's see. Yeah, the women would get the 1, the men would get the 2. But so they're in the East. They get to play in Fort Worth, which of course is really East.
We love it.
In the first 2 rounds, and then if they get past that, they go to Philly. Again, some pretty good teams in this region. How about Scott Drew's team? Can they get back to the Final Four?
Well, I think they're definitely in the toughest region. Kentucky's number 2, Purdue's number 3. Purdue was number 1 for 1 week, but they've been in the top 10 all year. UCLA's 4. And then you just kind of look down the line. I mean, Texas is 6. They're probably playing the best 11 seed in the country, Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
They've won 7 of their last 8, and they beat Duke in the ACC tournament for the championship. So it's a really hard region. But then again, that's what you'd expect because they were the number 4 1 seed.
Yeah.
They were obviously hoping for San Antonio. They lost Oklahoma in the first round of the Big 12 tournament. And, I think they probably would have had at least won a game or 2 there to get that San Antonio route. But, they've got tournament experience. At least 3 of the guys have a lot of it. Flo Thamba, Matt Meyer, and Adam Flagler. They were all key players on last year's team. So that's going to help. I think those 2 freshmen, Jeremy Sohan and Kendall Brown, won't be awed by the moment. I mean, they're pretty, they're very talented, but I think they've, you can see them just kind of.
They're poised.
They're poised. Yeah. They've gained confidence throughout the year. And, Kenjo's a senior. He'll be fine too. But then you got that thin rotation to think about. And, I wouldn't be shocked if they gave Cryer a shot to play. I mean, kind of like at this point, what is there to lose? So
to me, Cryer is the X factor.
Yeah.
If you were asking me, Baylor can get to the Final Four by doing blank.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's by Cryer coming back and giving them another 3-point shooter because you talked about it in a conversation with me yesterday. I alluded to it in a column today, but Flagler is a good percentage 3-point shooter, but beyond that, unless Cryer's playing, they don't have a lot of high percentage 3-point shooters. I mean, Brown, Sohan, Akinjo's hitting like 29%. So
yeah,
that's a big difference from last year, as we well remember.
Yeah, they had 3 or 4 guys who could hit threes pretty regularly. So, that is a big difference. And, obviously it's going to be much harder this year than last year, I think.
What were you going to say, Chad?
I predict that they're going to release or unleash LJ Cryer. I mean, we'll see if that makes a difference, but I don't think they were too concerned about what happened in Kansas City. In fact, I think they probably kind of preferred to come home on Thursday night.
I got a lot of questions from different people saying, you think they tanked? You think they tanked? No, I don't think they tanked. But did they, mind a couple extra days of rest? Sure. I mean, obviously they would like, some extra rest. So, but no, I don't think Baylor went out and tried to lose on purpose. But.
Well, there's a difference between tanking and resting guys and experimenting,
Yeah, that's true. And I think the conference tournament, when you're assured of a pretty high seed, is a good time to do that. All right. So out of all of the Big 12, men and women, this time we'll start with the men first, and either one of y'all can chime in. Who has the best chance to get to the Final Four?
I don't think it's Baylor just because they're short rotation and the region's so tough. I think it's probably Kansas. They're number 1 seed in the Midwest. Let's see. Number 2 is Auburn, who's been a really good team. They were number 1 a few weeks, but they've been kind of fading a little lately.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've been fading a little. Wisconsin, they're a good 3 seed. I think Kansas could beat them. Providence, they're a 4. I don't know. I think Kansas could beat them. I like the Jayhawks' chances. And then after that, I'd say, even though Tech's a 3 seed, I think they have a shot to win that West region.
Chad, what do you think?
I like Providence more than John does. I don't know exactly. They're number 13 in the country, but they've been in that top 15 all year. A real rugged team out of the Big East. I saw them play a whole game this year, and they're big and athletic, and they've answered a lot of challenges. I mean, they're 25-5 and playing in a pretty dang good conference. But yeah, Kansas probably has the best chance. I think unfortunately for Texas Tech, and somebody, was doing a little chest pounding, talking about how 20 years from now, the trivia question, who knocked out Duke in Krzyzewski's last game, the answer is going to be Texas Tech, but I'm not that optimistic, because when you talk about knocking Coach K out, they're going to shoot just like Kansas did the other day. They're going to shoot 30-something free throws.
I knew you were going to go down that road, and
I don't mean it from a bitterness standpoint. I just mean it from, it's Duke. It's Duke and Coach K, and they're not going away quietly. And they're going to get some help from Coach K's buddies in stripes.
So, I mean, I've heard this conspiracy for weeks now that basically the NCAA wants Duke to, do well and all this. Personally, my answer to the question is Tech, because first of all, I don't completely believe in this year's Gonzaga team. I think a stiff wind could blow Chet Holmgren over. And then Duke obviously is going to be a tough game, and Gonzaga would be a tough game. But here's why I like Tech, and that I think they've got just some guys that can get unconscious shooting wise, and they play defense. And in March, man, that plays, that travels. I saw a metric or something where maybe they're number 1 in Ken Palm defense or whatever. I don't know. But
see, I love them. I love watching this team play. I have all year long. To me, they're a lot more conscious shooting a lot of the time than unconscious, and I'd love to see you be right and have, 2 or 3 guys that just launch it and keep making it. But if they're gonna win, if they're gonna beat teams like Duke and Gonzaga, it's gonna be because they make them not shoot very well, because they're in a bracket full of teams that can fill it up from 3, and that's kind of their Achilles heel.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I think for Tech to make the run, they're gonna have to do it on the defensive end. I agree with that. All right, how about on the women's side? Who's the team out of the Big 12 that you think has the best shot there?
Well, I'll keep talking, I guess, since this is my bracket. But, Vic Schaefer, love him or don't like him or whatever, or just think he's okay. He's been a beast in the tournament. He was in Mississippi State. He beat Kim and Baylor, and he beat Gino and UConn back in 2017, I believe. He took Texas farther than anybody thought Texas was going to go last year. And they won the Big 12 tournament over the weekend. And boy, he was hard on his team. He was saying he had players not doing what they were supposed to do and whatever. This is back when they lost to Baylor twice in 3 days, and he was hard on this team. But, you look up now and they're a tough team. They don't blow you away with scorers and all conference types. obviously, the Big 12 teams didn't have a Texas player on the first team. But I think I put Rory Harmon on our first team. And she's a good straw to stir the drink for one thing. But I think Texas could go a long way. Obviously, Baylor, it's tough to say between Texas and Baylor who has the best chance of going the farthest. And then I just don't think Iowa State has the athletes. I mean, they've been so out-athleted by Baylor in 2 games that you really can't rely on. But hey, if they make it, good for Bill Finley.
Yeah. So I late last night I got done with some stuff and I went ahead and filled out some brackets as everyone else does. You fill out brackets and try to win your pool or whatever. And I filled out a women's one too. And I actually had Texas making the Final Four. I think they're, going in the right direction at the right time. As Chad said, I think they displayed some toughness in that Big 12 final and some quickness. I mean, they were getting to the rim with pretty, high frequency. So, yeah, I think for all those reasons that Chad mentioned, and Vic Schaefer, having some tournament experience, I think all of that plays well for Texas.
Before I let John answer, I want to point out Texas got to go through Kim Mulkey to get there.
Yes, I would. That would be a fun matchup.
Go ahead, John.
I think I like Baylor's chances the best. When you're in the conference, you play people so much that you really know their strengths and weaknesses and every little nuance about them. I think Nalissa's going to be really hard to stop. I mean, Texas kind of took her out a little bit. But that her and those 3-point shooters they have, that's a pretty good, combination right there. And I'm not going to say I give them a great chance, but I think I'd give them the best chance.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point, and it was one that Carolyn Peck made on the selection show special. Just talking about Nalissa and the 3-point shooters and that was a good, good asset for Baylor to have that could lead to a nice deep run. So we'll see. How about the surprises out there? Who, and we're talking about Big 12, who men or women could make kind of a run that you don't see coming?
TCU's playing pretty well. I don't know if that's going to translate into the tournament. This is the men. But they've been playing really well. They've beaten some good teams down the stretch. They beat Kansas a week ago. I think they have at least an outside shot to get to the Sweet 16. I don't know if they will. But other than that, I think Texas Tech's got a pretty good shot to make the Elite Eight or maybe a little farther. Yeah.
Chad?
Well, there's a couple teams I like. I like Oklahoma, but darn it, if Skylar Vann, who was our 6th Woman of the Year, didn't go down with an injury the other day against Baylor, and that, man, I was sitting there watching it. Of course, that's Saturday, and I'm just thinking, as a Red Raider, I'm just going, man, if one of Tech's players, and especially one of the guys they depend on, got hurt in tonight's game, I'd be so bummed, And so I had, a lot of sympathy for that situation. Kansas has Georgia Tech in the first round. It's an 8-9 game, and I think Kansas could get through that one and then play Stanford, but I don't think they would stand much of a chance in that. I mentioned Texas, but Texas going a long way wouldn't be a surprise. I'm trying to look. Okay, so Kansas State also has they have a 9 seed. Okay, and it's going to be really interesting if they beat Washington State in that first round, because then you got Ayoka Lee, 6'5" Ayoka Lee going up against 6'4" Elisa Kanane in the second round against NC State. That could be, for your women's basketball fan, that could be a real interesting watch for you.
Yeah, no doubt. How about the bust? Who's the bust potential out there for the Big 12?
Well, I think it's definitely Texas. I mean, I don't think they've really played up to their potential all year, or maybe they were just overranked to start the year. I think they probably were at number 5.
And as you mentioned, they get a tough first
That's
round
yes.
game against Virginia Tech.
Yeah, I think Virginia Tech's the best 11 seed in the tournament. I mean, they're a really hot team that's playing well, and Texas has a hard time just finding a go-to guy when they really need it. And I think that's going to continue to be an issue.
That would
Well,
break.
you know,
That would
nobody
break
thinks
Chad's
more
heart.
of Chris, huh?
Yeah, I said that would break Chad's heart if Chris Beard flames out.
Nobody thinks more of Chris Beard's coaching ability in March than Chris Beard. So
I love it. What's your answer, Butthead?
I think Iowa State could bust. I mentioned the athleticism thing, but you know, when you go specifically Big 12, you know, who could get upset? Like I said, I like Texas and Baylor's chances of getting through. Texas, I mean, I feel like in the women's game, toughness in the tournament is really valuable. And I think, you know, Texas got there. And I feel like, I don't know. I mean, if you're a 12 seed and you're a great, you know, 3-point shooting team, then go light it up, you know, go take your shots and light it up. And if you can hit 10 in the first half and put a higher seed on their heels, and more power to you. But what you're going to see more of the time is teams that go out and try to do that and just don't score for a while. And I think that's maybe even more present in the women's game than the men's game. I don't have anything to back that up. It's not a comment on gender in any way, but you know, but there have been women's teams that could light it up from 3-point range, and Kim Mulkey knows all too well what a hot 3-point shooting team can do to you. You know,
yeah, that was Baylor's last time to play Louisville in the NCAA tournament. Brittany Griner's final game in 2013, and as I wrote in a column today, I think Louisville's still swishing in threes, off balance threes. I mean, that was one of the craziest shooting performances I've ever seen.
Well, one thing, this is not exactly an answer to that question, but I think the whole state of Iowa maybe is hoping to see Iowa State and Iowa in the Sweet 16. Now, Iowa State's going to run up against Georgia in the second round. Iowa will play maybe Colorado in the second round, but I think that has a pretty good chance of happening. And you know, Caitlin Clark versus, you know, Ashley Jones, although I don't know that they would guard each other. They're a little bit different types of players, but you know, this is a great time of year to kind of see players like Caitlin Clark and Paige Beckers and Nalissa Smith and Aaliyah Boston, women's players that maybe they're not on national TV as much as you know, a lot of the men's teams. Even though a lot of the Big 12 schools are on TV constantly on the men's side. So, you know, there's me promoting women's basketball. Take a chance to watch Caitlin Clark play and watch Melissa Smith play this March.
Yeah. All right. One final little question here, going off script. You don't have to give me a huge breakdown, but give me your champion, men and women.
Oh, Lord.
Certainly you've filled out a bracket by now.
Not yet.
Maybe.
No,
Hey, man, I slept for 12 hours after I got home yesterday.
All right, I'll start.
What?
I'll start while y'all think. I'm
Okay.
going Arizona on the men. I think they're playing pretty well. They earned their 1 seed. I think the Pac-12 showed some things last year in the NCAA tournament that maybe they're a little underrated as a conference. And I'm going NC State for the women over South Carolina in the final.
I think I'm going to go Kansas with the men. You know, the Big 12 has been the best conference all year.
Okay.
They've been really tough. I I like them getting through that bracket. And women, I probably go with you, Bryce. NC State. I can't say I know just a whole lot about on the women's side, but just from what I've seen, they look like a really good team.
You know, there is a great cartoonist for the Lubbock Avalanche Journal named Dirk West. And he used to draw these cartoons, and he'd Raider Red, he'd have like his hat would have bullet holes in it in accordance with how many football games Texas Tech had lost that season. You know? And to me, when I look at the entire men's bracket, I see teams with a couple of bullet holes at least. You know,
Yeah,
you don't. There's no obvious favorite, I don't think, this year.
I agree.
You know, you could say the West Coast hasn't produced, like Pac-12 hasn't produced a lot of dominant tournament teams lately. You know, and so for all those reasons, it's Kansas doesn't have their best team. Duke doesn't have their best team. Baylor doesn't have as good a team as they had a year ago. So I'm going to say this is the year that the ball bounces Gonzaga's way and Gonzaga wins. On the men's side. And on the women's side, I think Stanford's body of work throughout the year has been better than everybody else.
They are the defending national champion.
And they are the defending champion. I'm gonna say it's a Stanford repeat.
Okay.
Right.
That would be a feather in a Tara Vanderveer's cap for sure.
Well, it's a feather and a cap with a lot of feathers in it already.
Yeah, no doubt. True that. All right. Well, good stuff. We'll be obviously out at the games this week in Fort Worth and Waco, and then we'll see if we've got some trips ahead in next week. So anyway, thanks, y'all.